what was it like looking up to your mom growing up?
I mean, and I think like anyone who loves their mom, you're growing up, you don't really see anything. You don't see it like from the outside.
That actually leads me into, I would like to ask your input on, obviously it's a completely different level, but we're in the process of raising soon to be 4 little girls. And with really dad mostly in a situation where like we'll be out and about and people will stop him and ask for a picture, mostly in the Philadelphia area. But since doing some other things in Monday Night Football and things like that, it's grown a little bit. Do you have any like advice or anything that your parents did or anything that you currently do with your own kids that you find is like super important in not necessarily like insulating them, but in a sense, protecting them?
There's 2 ways to go. If you're someone who's like really wants to keep things private, I think you just make that very clear to whoever it is, whether it be press or whether it be you taking a picture with a fan. It's like when you're with your kids, it's just, I'm with my kids, and I really don't do that when I'm with my kids. I mean, that's kind of what I grew up with. When we would go out to dinner and stuff, that was just my parents' thing. It's like, this is about, sometimes you need to have some boundary because you really need to show your kids that you're attentive to them and that all of the incoming attention isn't really real in a sense. And what I mean by that is that it didn't feed them. We fed them more, meaning that connection. So yes. Sometimes they would like put a boundary down with people. Then there's the other side, which is it can become exhausting, trying to protect your children all the time. Meaning like, at some point there might be a moment where you just go, this is what our life is. And you explain it to them in a way so that they understand that getting validated by other people isn't going to bring you joy, but that this is just a part of what happens when you do something that people recognize. So I think that's kind of what I do. And then, as they get older, they kind of define what their boundaries are, And
did your mom ever explain it to you? Do you remember?
Well, my parents were really good. Like when we were younger, we moved to Colorado, and it was a much less kind of
chaotic
frontward facing world like LA or New York. But we also traveled a lot with them. Our parents were really good at just being like really kind, but like just always about our family unit. I never felt like I was on display for my family. It was like, this is just what we do. And then none of this really means anything to us if our unit's not strong.
Right. Is there anything that you thought was completely like normal growing up? And then like once you got older, you were like, oh shit. That was not.
No, because I had the kind of parents that were very clear about how not normal and a lot of it was. They were so clear about how privileged our certain experiences were with us. I think that's like the most important thing. It's like you can see it when your kids start to feel a little like, that they're feeling a little different.
Bougie.
Right.
They're
yeah.
feeling a little bougie.
And our family, we're really good at just knocking that right out. It's like, no.
My husband we both grew up in like a very different situation than we're currently in. And we're both trying to mirror that, like what we had without like stifling.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my husband every so often will be like, no, that's dad's.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is dad's.
I earned that.
Yes.
When you these are things that you earn. Yeah. I really think also just volunteer work with kids is like one of the most important things. I don't care how much money you have, but like kids recognizing that there's, like helping other kids. That to me is the thing that keeps everybody grounded and grateful is like, when you live in certain places in the world, you just have a very different life experience. And it's important to not shelter it too much, to be like, this is different than how a lot of people in the world live.